Hi. Welcome back to Berg Mountain Optional University's course #Precedents by Presidents, where this session we cover the first precedent in President George Washington. Won't you come along with us?
First Precedent of Liberty. From Pope's Creek, Westmoreland County, VA. President George Washington. 1789 to 1797. George Washington was 44 years old when America declared its independence from Great Britain, where a transformation of the nation was so set by his precedents. He was the first president of the United States from March 4, 1789 to 1797. The Declaration was signed to 1. Form a more perfect union, 2. Establish justice, 3. Ensure domestic tranquility, 4. Provide for the common defense, 5. Promote the general welfare, and 6. Secure the peace and blessings of liberty for we the people. So far removed from a monarchy which taxed men unrepresentatively, caught in a storm where laws of nature and man conflicted, and bred from a patriot population neither indigenous nor noble, our nation resulted from the autonomy of common men using common sense. Born to a justice of the peace Augustine and Mary Ball Washington, Augustine's second wife, George was a Virginia planter who became a member of its House of Burgesses at 26 years old for Frederick, 1758 to 1765, and Fairfax, 1765 to 1775, counties. From Westmoreland County in Pope's Creek, VA, Washington's family would move to Hunting Creek, VA before settling near Fredericksburg in Ferry Farm, VA. The issue is primogeniture, for as George would inherit Ferry Farm along with 10 slaves after his father died in 1743, his older stepbrothers, Lawrence and Augustine Jr., would Hunting Creek, Mount Vernon, and Pope's Creek, respectively. The Latin, Exitus acta probat, reads a Washington family motto: the outcome is the test of the act. Washington set precedents in the colonial period, pre-1775, during the Revolutionary stage, 1775 to 1790, and in early national history, 1790, mortality, of the United States, leveling the economic playing field for patriots.
Washington set precedents in the colonial period, pre-1775, leveling the playing field between patriots and nobles concerning will. Sure, there were those born in England who moved with family to America and vice versa, but it was much more economical to transport from the kingdom to colonies back then. Augustine, born far from a VA Burgess in the wilderness where men detached from recorded sin and documented law, bred and killed others regardless. Augustine, Washington's father from Westmoreland, Virginia, was the second son of Mildred Warner and Lawrence Washington, and would traverse the Atlantic as a child, which was then much to say. Mary Ball, Washington's mother, was born, as far as research has it, from 1707, 1709 in England's Epping Forest or Lancaster County, VA, which brings us to the point. There were spaces, resources, people, ideas, hopes and dreams in the New World where primogeniture was practiced, while babies born in mangers grew from savage to civilized stronger. Sure, there may have been a king somewhere and in some time, but if he wasn't the man in the mirror, no one welcomed him except loyalists and first sons. First sons were wills, while in America juniors were second and thirds Georges. Anyone could claim a large house, as we have Hamilton, others might another house, and some had the papacy. As if I spoke for all Hamiltonians, some did the king and clergy might the pope. Morality was lost to biology, and the breeding practice of tani strati found purpose as laws of man and nature conflicted, where between them George stood and stands.
During the Revolutionary stage, 1775 to 1790, Washington set precedents making history of the United States. As the Continental Army's commander-in-chief from June 19 of 1775 to December 23 of 1783, patriots forged a new path for themselves far from England, which demanded governance from those concurrent. The colonies to those English were open frontiers and lands of opportunity for those other than wills, and detached from the European continent, cannon fodder had an opportunity for a longer life, being Plantagenet. There was more public space outside kingdoms of men or churches of the Lord, where primogeniture separated first sons from those who'd follow. First sons would shine so bright with claims on top of claims of what made some superior to others, where morality was second fiddle to biology. What, however, of intellect in strategy on battlefields? Biology would have all suppressed save one, the king. But in battle men acquire nobility or die, where liberty or death was the reward, and death but a doorway to Valhalla waiting Ragnarok with Odin. Sure, many outnumber one, and those less knowledgeable those more, but common sense separated loyalists from natives, George III from George Washington, and patriots resulted.
In the early national history from 1790 until his mortality in the United States, Washington set precedents we can't ignore. Assuming the presidency of the then 13 United States April 30 of 1789, protecting Americans from threats foreign and domestic included the expansion of lands, still territories, and people descendant from nobility so far removed from biology that equality in morality was to their greater benefit. Under Washington, 3 states were admitted to the Union: Vermont, Kentucky, and Tennessee. Vermont, having been the 14th state admitted to the new nation, independent from New York since January 15 of 1777 as the Vermont Republic, existed 14 years until its admittance on March 4 of 1791. Kentucky, then claimed by Virginia, was inhabited by warring indigenous Americans who by 1790 had cost 1,500 settlers their lives, where its first permanent European settlement of Harrodstown was resettled in March of 1775. Virginia's preference to Kentucky's statehood was approved by Congress, February 4, 1791, just weeks before Vermont was, but it became June 1 of 1792 the 15th state as a commonwealth like Virginia. The Watauga Association of 1772, a first constitutional government west of the Appalachians, became the Washington District in 1776, supporting of the war afterwards annexed by North Carolina in 1777. Reorganized as the Federal Southwest Territory, statehood was achieved, June 1, 1796.
Washington set precedents in the colonial period, revolutionary stage, and in early national history of the United States, leveling the economic playing field for patriots. We remember George, now, more than his brothers Lawrence and Augustine, as he combated primogeniture in the Revolution and presided as 3 states were unionized.
That's all we have for you this session. Next week we cover the second precedent in President John Adams. We can't wait to see you there. Drive safely, and thank you for your time and consideration.